Hi, everyone. I'm Andre Sr. with KTVU Fox 2 in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're continuing to look deeply into coronavirus and ways of solving it and ways of protecting ourselves against catching it. We're joined now by Robert Saunders. He is a registered nurse, and he came up with a pretty ingenious idea of how to protect those frontline workers, those workers who are working directly with people who have contracted COVID-19. And Robert, this is a truly unique idea here. And we are paying so much attention to the frontline workers, people like you that are treating, it's almost like it's in your blood to treat people at this point, no matter the danger. But you came up with an idea of keeping frontline workers safe. Tell me about that.
All right. Well, what I do is work in surgery, work in recovery room, work in ICUs. And what we see is our nurses and doctors exposed to people's breath. As we know, coughing, sneezing can spread the virus and other viruses. And so knowing that when we put a tube into somebody's lungs to breathe for them, which is one of the main treatments for COVID, all of their lung constituents immediately are exhaled into the environment. We see all our practitioners wearing masks and wearing shields and doubling up on every protective equipment they can to try to prevent that. But even then, the gases and viruses are expelled into the nearby environment, landing on surfaces, contaminating everything there is. So in healthcare, we want to try to contain that. We've seen a few other ideas of some devices to help contain that expelled air and virus. And one day, a few weeks ago, I was talking to some of my coworkers, and they saw a device that I didn't think was very good at functioning. And immediately, a couple ideas popped into my head. And I thought of the device you stick in your windshield to block the sun from coming in, a little spring-loaded pop-up thing. And I thought, wow, why can't we turn that into a spring-loaded pop-up box? So I went online and did a little looking around, found a company called Under the Weather Pods back in Ohio, gave them a call, contacted a guy, his name's Rick. Rick Paskovitz, he apparently owns that company. And he makes a very similar device, an Under the Weather pod. He has some that you can put over your entire body, like a small tent. He's working on those things. He has some that you can use at the schoolyard or whatnot during games. I thought, hey, let's just shrink this down. So he and I collaborated significantly and came up with one that we've tried out now. A few trials, it works very well, and we're going into production on it. And just get the word out on this thing so people can see how it works and how effective it is and how simple it is to use. Of course, in healthcare, we're always worried about space. And some of the devices we see out there already are very large, ungainly, take up lots of space, and can't be stored well. So this item folds up nearly to pocket size almost, if you could say. And simple to use, as I said.
So
got one here to show.
Yeah, and I wanted to get to that just a second here. But coming up with this idea, and it's only spanned a matter of weeks since you came up with the idea and got that first prototype?
Yep, it was right after we started to go to the shelter-in-place idea, about May 19th. The idea was in my head, and prototype was in my hands within a couple of weeks. Rick was really quick at getting me that.
Yeah, okay, so show us how it works. I know you put a demonstration video out there, but I want to see, if you have it there, to see how it works.
I have one right here. So compared to me, this is about how big it looks. It's folded up. It's very narrow. It's folded. You can see it's pliable, bendable. So it opens up very quickly, and it's ready to deploy just like that. See, this side has two arm access holes that an anesthesiologist or doctor or whoever can reach their hand into. You can pick that up on that camera or not. And I'll just show you here. I'll be the lying down patient. Well, it just goes like this, simply over the patient. It has some zippered side access holes for assistance during procedures. It straps down to the table underneath. It fits right over an operating table perfectly, which was the idea this was made for since I work in the operating room. It can also fit over a gurney very readily for an emergency room or in an ambulance. After you're all done with it, it just closes up, folds up very small. It can be twisted down even smaller. So it can fit in a lot of places, which is nice. as opposed to a great big plastic box. Doesn't require any assembly with pipes and plastic bags. It's super see-through, which is very important with intubation because the doctors need to use either a scope, a little camera to look and see where the tube is going into the lungs, or be able to visualize the vocal cords to see the tube going in. And with some of the other devices, the trash bag type devices, the plastic's a little bit not clear enough to see through to be able to do that so well. So it's a very simple, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, is this designed to completely eliminate a patient breathing on you, or is this just something that can reduce the amount of air that the patient can breathe out while healthcare officials are around them?
So it should encapsulate a great majority of whatever is exhaled. It sits down across the patient's chest, and the bottom edges are occluded by blankets or drapes, if need be. All the closures prevent air from escaping out readily. You can add a negative pressure line like a suction or a vacuum hose to the inside to vacate air through a filtered system and prevent that gas from escaping through other little areas. It's pretty well sealed though. Rick is working with people if they want to make custom designs to theirs also, to remove or add other items to it. He's very open to alternate designs.
What is the reaction you're getting from healthcare professionals in hospitals? Have you been able to show them the idea that you've come up with already, and what are they telling you about this?
Yeah, yes, we have worked with it already, live and in practice, and everyone just loves the fact that it's so easy to work with. It's lightweight, it's maneuverable. Some of the other devices aren't maneuverable. You put your arms in the holes and you're kind of handcuffed and you just have very little movement. This one, even though it seals well, you can still move it around in a sense. The springy edges compress and expand as you move yourself. So it's almost like it's not there. Anesthesiologists are loving it in the operating room. It's saving operating room time instead of having to vacate a room with intubation and wait 30 minutes for the virus to settle down in a room and then wipe surfaces. It's containing that in there so that intubation can happen and surgery can start immediately after that.
What's the idea of having this around? Do you have multiple, and are they single use? Do you have a stock of them? So after you've used it on one patient, you put that one away, or is there a cleaning process? How does that part work?
Great, good question. Right now, the FDA has not approved this for multiple use. If there are some sterilizers that can be used to clean it thoroughly, hydrogen peroxide gas or hydrogen peroxide steam can clean it thoroughly for reuse. Those aren't readily available to all facilities. So for right now, we're recommending it be single use only. It's a very affordable price point. I wish that I had more means myself. I would love to donate thousands of them to someone. They're going to be very readily available. Next week, our first shipment comes in. We'll have a few hundred then, about 500 or so. In the following week, we should have about 5,000 more to go.
Where has expressed interest in receiving this particular product in their medical facilities?
We've got my local facility in San Ramon has expressed an interest. That anesthesiology group there is very interested. We have Duke University has put in a large purchase order for them so far, and we're reaching out to many more entities. But being so young, I'm still working on trying to get the word out as much as possible, and I have to go to work every day too.
This is it's pretty interesting that it's ramped up this quickly. How are you handling the interest that you're getting so far from places like Duke University?
It's a little overwhelming. This is not my forte in either marketing or anything. I'm darn good at healthcare. So just knowing what is needed, it's good to work with somebody like Rick Bestmitz, who is so open to making changes at my discretion and my suggestion. And whatever it's going to take to get these things out and in people's hands, I'm sure as time goes along, they'll be perfected even more. But it's a great device. It's just what we need. It shouldn't be something that just is here for COVID either. We should be able to use this and should use this based on evidence, of course, going forward, best practice will be in the future to contain the air that blows out of people when we intubate them and when we extubate them, when we're doing both in and out.
You were saying that there are similar products like this on the market. How similar and how different is your product? Why is it better than what you may be able to see out there now?
Right. What we saw them using in China and some in Australia and Italy were a large plexiglass box. So a plexiglass box that was about 2 foot square, about 2 cubic feet or so. But it's just a hard plastic box. It only had 4 sides, essentially. It had an open bottom to go over the patient, and then the far end of it was also open. So you had to put a drape over it to contain any gases or viruses. It had 2 holes in the side, which your arm could fit through, but again, it got tight up around your forearms, and you can't move your hands that well. You lose the dexterity, the movement that you have. There's a couple of devices. One that looks like a group of pipes that are just put together in a rectangle that people drape basically a clear plastic trash bag over. And the pipes go over the patient's head, and then you drape the trash bag over that. Again, the clarity on that is not as good. There's some that people are making that look like a water bottle, a 5-gallon water jug cut off that just sits over people's head, and then the top of it vents out air. In England, they have one that you put together with join together PVC pipe and make kind of a small tent with a clear plastic also. So this is the only one that I have seen that is just all by itself, pop up, ready to go, easily manipulable.
Based on what you're describing, it seems like your invention, or the one that you've come up with, your idea, is the only one that seems to be as flexible. I mean, you rolled it up just like that screen that you put into your car, and you just bend it and roll it into that circle. So is that one of the major differences with your product that you've come up with than the products you're seeing out there on the market now?
Absolutely. That's the main advantage of the whole thing. The other products certainly will work. This one just is, as far as everything else, not just how easy it is to use, but of course in hospitals we know storage is at a premium. You can store hundreds of these in a very small space, and you can put them in an ambulance without any trouble. They can be kept on an emergency cart and grabbed rapidly. Again, their price point is so affordable. As in healthcare, we see things so expensive already. These things can be readily disposed of, and just to prevent further contamination if there's any general or real concern for contamination on them.
What's the price point on something like this? I could see they're probably more compact than the items that you were describing that you've seen before, but what's the price point on something like this?
Yeah, right around $50. So, as I said, healthcare, that's not a bad price. A bag of IV fluids runs about that much. A needle that goes in your arm is, $20. So those things get thrown away. An angioplasty balloon is a couple $1,000s. We use that to blow up a balloon, to open up an artery one time and throw it away. So we certainly, we like to contain costs, that's for sure. But we're not trying to gouge anybody on this thing.
Talk to me a little bit about your work environment right now. You're a registered nurse. Tell me what life is like working in the position that you're working in right now.
Well, there's always the unknown in what I'm doing. We just don't know who's coming in with what. Even if somebody comes in the hospital and they look like they're very ill and may have something, they might not have anything that we're going to catch. They might have just congestive heart failure and cough from that. You get the person that walks in that's a family member and seems just fine, and they're picking up their loved one to take them home, and they're the one that gets everyone sick. You just don't know. It's a very unknown thing. So we kind of have to treat everything the same so that we're sure that we're not getting ill ourselves. We're not contracting something and then spreading it to our family or anyone else. So that's probably the biggest fear in nursing. Of course, we also have the concerns that we're not being well protected enough. The doctors and nurses feel like there's a concern for not being protected well enough. My facility is doing a fantastic job of making sure we have all the personal protective equipment that we need. They've even invested in some of these things just to make sure of that. Otherwise, every patient we have to treat just about the same.
You know, they say necessity is the mother of inventions, and is that how you feel right now with this product that you've come up with?
That's exactly it. That's exactly right. You just need something so bad, your brain pops into gear and does it.
Well, Robert Saunders, a registered nurse who have come up with a fantastic idea to protect those frontline workers. We've seen the stories all over the country, frontline workers running short on critical supplies. But Robert Saunders is coming up with a new way of protecting those frontline workers of COVID-19 from contracting COVID-19 and perhaps other issues in the future. So, Robert, thank you so much for sharing your story. Good luck, and it's a great tool that medical workers can add to their belt. So thank you so much.
Andre, thank you very much for your time.